Hello, welcome to week 1, day 1 of our mobility challenge. Now, I hope you opted in to get your emails and everything that go along with this challenge. If you missed that portion when you're going to sign up for the challenge, make sure, send me a message, let me know, and I'll make sure we get you opted in for the emails and we get the first one sent out to you, because I am going to be sending out emails every single week at the beginning of the week so you can get updated on how to stay on track and some of my best tips for getting the most out of this challenge. Now, I'm not here to talk about all that today. What I'm here to do is run through our mobility session together today, right? So I want to go through every session as a follow along. I wanted to do this live for everybody, but there's a lot of issues with live and I don't want anything to get in the way of our mobility game train here. So let's just do this. I'm gonna film it all. I'm gonna get it all going. I'm gonna actually go through this day by day. I'll just be a day ahead of anybody who's actually starting on the day we launch this. But just know that I am going through this with you all. I'm gonna be going through every single routine in this mobility challenge with you all, workout by workout. Now you can see I have a good old trusty boot. So it is gonna take, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of changing around of movements, right, at times. But this also shows you that this can be used for anybody out there. Did you just get hurt doing your thing? Guess what? Stay mobile, keep those joints feeling good with this challenge, because you can still get after it like me right here. So without further ado, before I forget, if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, I'm gonna drop the first one, just the first one, free on YouTube for everybody to see. If you're there, make sure you go down to the description in the YouTube video and find our link for the Facebook group so you can get in and join us all there to continue on as we go through this mobility challenge. But now, without further ado, let's get after week 1, day 1 of our mobility challenge. All right, so first thing we have on our list is gonna be 90-90s. Now, all we're gonna do with this is we're gonna sit back in this position here, just feet out in front of us. We're actually gonna use our hands behind us as a kickstand, so I don't have to think of holding myself up using my core muscles. I can now use my hands on the ground behind me as a kickstand. Now all I'm gonna do is, obviously I want this foot to be flat on the ground like this one if I could, but we're gonna start to drop the knees and start rotating the body to one side. I'm gonna start by rotating to my left, so if you want, you can join me. So I'm gonna start dropping my hips down to the left, my knees and my hips, rotating my body along with me. And now when we're in this position, you'll see that the reps, it says 5 each. All we mean is 5 deep breaths. So we're just gonna sit in this position. Notice I still have my hand on the ground behind me over here, right? So this is helping me stay up so I don't have to fully try to get into this progression of the movement with no hands. I can put my hand down and have some support here. Another thing you can do, I don't have a yoga block by me, but if you have a shirt or a sweatshirt and you have a little bit shorter arms, it's hard to get your hand down to the ground. Use that implement that you're gonna use and prop your hand up so it's a little bit easier. You don't have to reach down so far. So I'm gonna take 2 more deep breaths from here. All right, now to rotate to the other side, we're gonna go here. We're gonna start to rotate our upper body back this way. We're gonna come around here, bring the legs up, and we're gonna drop down to our right side. Now this side's a little bit tricky for me with the boot, so I'm gonna do my best as I asked you to do. Just do your best while we do this together. Prop ourselves up. Right about there is probably good for me. Now if you notice, this name gets its name 90-90 from the positions in our legs, right? So we don't want to have this knee super far in or super far out. We're looking for that 90-degree angle from the shin to the top of the leg or the quad. Same thing in that front leg, right? Now another big thing while you take 2 more deep breaths here is I don't want to see you leaning too far over this way. Now if this is too much for you, then we may need to walk the hand forward a little bit and even incorporate our other hand and start working our way back to sitting up fully. right, let's move. Next movement, we're gonna come up, around, just like so. All right, now, next thing we're gonna do is go into the combat stretch. Now, if you watch the video demonstration of this, you're gonna see me doing it against a wall. That's to kind of gauge the distance, and I use my fingers as like measuring points to see how far away into the progress I'm making. Now, we don't need that. I'm not gonna do that in this instance here, and I'm also can only do it on one leg. So remember, you have both sides because it says 8 each. That means 8 each leg, so don't neglect the other side. I only can do my left side right now. I want you to pause the video when we get to switching. I'll say switch. When I say that in this movement, I want you to pause it, and then I'll have you do your 8 on the other side, and then hit play and join me back for the next movement. So let's get to it. All right, we're gonna get ourselves in this kind of this nice stacked, almost like a lunge position, right? Or a runner stretch if you want to think of that. Now, what we don't want to do is be super wobbly here. So if this is hard for you and you don't have the balance quite yet here on the knee, then I want you to grab a pole, a chair, a doorway, whatever you need to hold on with the opposite hand of the front leg, right? So for me, that'd be holding on with my right hand and then stabilize me. But for now, I don't really need it. I'm gonna work on the stretch here. So we're gonna start with this kind of straight shin angle here, right? So from here up, it's pretty straight. Now, the goal of this is to push the knee over the toe. Biggest thing, I'm actually gonna turn towards you so you can see better, is we do not, and I repeat, we do not want to see this knee start to travel in or start to travel out, right? We do not want that. We want this to go directly over the knee here, right? So right directly over the toes, I'm sorry. Directly in a straight line over the toes, not going in, sorry, not going out, not going in. Directly over, right? So we have 8 of those on each side, and we're just gonna rock back and forth for these 8 reps. Now, if you feel like you need a little bit extra weight in this front leg, you can lean into it by putting your weight on top of your leg with your arm like this, and just kind of pushing down into that stretch, right? Now I'm gonna turn, because I got one more key thing I want you to see here that I don't want you to do while we do this. I don't want to see you go here and like, oh yeah, dude, I can get so far. Look at this heel. This heel's 10 miles off the ground. This heel needs to stay down the whole time in order for me to really get the most out of what we're trying to do here, and that's get a good stretch throughout the Achilles, the lower part of the calf, and even a little bit in the upper part of the calf. Forward and back. Forward and back. All right, so now it's time to switch. I want you to pause the video, get your other side in, and then replay it, get to the other movement with me. All right, the next thing we got on our list is dynamic froggers. I'm gonna do my best to do this one. I think I'll be good because it's all about rotation of the hip here. So, quick thing, if you have trouble getting down on the ground for this movement, a good alternative for right now would be the butterfly stretch, right? Now, we're not just, and I can't do this fully right now because of this leg, but what I would want you to do is focus on sitting up as upright as you can, grabbing your ankles and not your feet, right? So you're actually gonna grab your ankle here, so that I can use this elbow to push down on that leg and get the most out of the groin here, right? So now we're gonna feel a good stretch coming through the inside part of our leg here and push, right? So let me show you what the dynamic froggers are. If you can, this is what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna sit here, hands and knees. Now, if you notice, I'm gonna spread my legs wide enough to where my feet can drop down, right? So I'm actually gonna turn to the side, and I'll turn back so you, when I do it, but just so you can see, I get my legs wide enough to where my hips drop in and my heels drop down to the ground. I don't want to see the feet up in the air. You want those heels down, right? So let me come back here. And then we got 5 of these, right? Now when we do this, we aren't just gonna sit here in this position. We're gonna sit here on our forearms like so. We can put our palms flat if you want to stay a little more stable. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna push up through our elbows and we're gonna push ourselves back into our hips. Now for me, I can't go very far right now because of sitting down so much due to my surgery. So I'm gonna go back as far as I can. Once I get to that point, I'm gonna try to dip down, pushing my hips down into the ground, and then coming forward, and then coming up, coming back, finding that position. Woo, it's tight for me today. Man. Just know you are not alone. If this stuff is hard for you, I'm gonna let you know right now, it's not easy for me either. There's 3. Pushing myself back with the hips, dropping the hips down. 4, we got 1 more. Whoa. All right, push ourselves up to our hands. I like to do a little bit of rocking, back and forth in this upper position. Oh, yeah, that feels good. All right, let's get to the next movement. Now we're gonna be focusing on the upper body. We're gonna be moving into quad T-spine rotations, or thoracic spine, right? And of course, why would I not educate you while we're doing this? Thoracic spine is gonna be this upper part of your back, right? So this upper part of your back here, essentially. This isn't exactly it, but just picture this being your T-spine, right? So this is where rotation happens, right? A lot of us, if you're an action sports athlete, we rotate a lot, but a lot of that rotation is really coming from us winding the shoulders up here, coming here, and then letting those hips follow through with us, right? We're not just solely coming from the hips, actually initiating in the upper back, coming here. If you're not an action sports athlete, why we want to rotate? Well, we don't rotate enough in life. Even as action sports athletes, outside of skateboarding, outside of snowboarding, outside of BMXing, we don't rotate. I mean, I know I don't. I got kids at home, so it's just a thing. We just need to get some more rotation in our lives, so here we go. We're gonna get down, hands and knees. Now this one, if you've ever seen like a child's pose is kind of like this, right? Now we're gonna do that same thing. We're gonna kind of push ourselves back into this position, just enough to where we are kind of taking away that load in our knees, and we're loading back into those hips a little bit more, and able to kind of be a little bit more comfortable. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hand, you either can hook it on your head. I like to go here, and I'm gonna actually come through with my arm. I'm gonna try to drop down to the ground, feel a big stretch coming to the back of the shoulder and the upper back. And then I'm gonna breathe in here. And when I breathe out, I'm gonna open and try to rotate up, following with my eyes the hand that's rotating around, so I'm not keeping the head here, rotating all the way through. Go back, breathe in. Alright, so it's 5 each side. I think I might have done a little bit more than that. That's totally fine. We're gonna go 5 the other side. And remember, you might not be able to come as far as I can. Maybe you only come to here. That's fine. We don't want to compromise and start arching the back a bunch just to get open. I want you to stay in your best position the whole time, working with your range of motion. That's the point of this. All right. All right, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna stay in that same position. We're gonna go from the T-spine rotations. We're gonna go just to thread the needle. So instead of rotating open, we're gonna start just with that first part of the movement here, where we sink back. And now we're gonna let our arm come through, palm down to the ground, and we're just gonna take some deep breaths in this position, okay? Now, big thing you can do here is if it feels too intense, just move that hand back a little bit. Or if you feel like you need more, you can start to try to walk that hand forward. All right, so we'll go ahead and switch sides. I'm actually gonna turn this way so I can show you something here. When we talk about progressing this movement, right? And we go here, I come through, I find that position. All right, perfect. If I want to start reaching more, I want you to reach more, but I don't want this to happen. Notice how I dipped down in my hips. I want you to stay here, come straight across, and then there, we're gonna lock in that position. Deep breaths, and I can try to walk that hand across, maybe come down a little bit toward the ground. And there we go. All right. Come out of that nice and slow. Give yourself some rolls. Shake it out a little bit real quick. Because now, got the last and final thing, and now we can do this on one side, so make sure you do it on both. We're gonna put all that mobility you used to work and get to standing on one leg. Now, we're gonna do this eyes open. We're just gonna go for the best amount of time that you can. I'm just gonna go until I hit 30 seconds in my head, put my foot down, I'm gonna say deuces, but feel free to keep going if you feel like you can go longer. And again, make sure you switch to the other side and make sure you check out week 1, day 2, coming up tomorrow. So, all right, people, let's get to it. All right, so biggest thing here is when we stand on one leg, we don't wanna try to be like this, right? Don't fight it. Your body wants to shift over, and there's a reason for that. We're taking our center of mass, our balance point, and we're now centering it over our one foot. So don't be afraid of coming over here. One thing I don't want to see is I want to see this hip go way up here, right? That's totally different. Now, if I'm here, that's good. We don't need to be over here trying to fight that, right? Let yourself shift over a little bit. Don't let that hip pop out, all right? So here we go. Biggest thing is when we do this, we're not just hovering the foot. We're getting that leg all the way up here, 90-degree position, and we're just gonna hold. If you need to, put your arms out to the side. If you wanna make it hard. Oh, you saw my foot there? Oh. Right, a couple different things we can do. I'm gonna turn to the side, just keep going. I wanna show you something first. So here, versus this. See that? Boom. You want to be here. Don't let yourself arch. So if this is hard to get up, then grab onto something, hold on to something until you get strong enough to be able to hold this up a little bit easier. Okay? Boom. That's going to be it for me today. There's week 1, day 1 of our mobility challenge. And I'm excited to see you all tomorrow for week 1, day 2. All right.